welcome back to another Pokemon TCG video. In this video, I'm going to be going over my stream match from the Vancouver Regional Championships. I'm up against my good friend Anil here. He's going to be playing Dragapult, and I'm going to be playing Guardy. If you don't know Anil, he runs an amazing podcast with Kieran called the Shift Gear Podcast. I'm sure he'll be talking about his thoughts on our game as well at some point this week on that podcast. So I'll link that in the description down below. As far as those prize cards go, you'll notice Anil playing the Unfair Stamp. That Unfair Stamp is in the prizes. That's going to be pretty much the only relevant prize card, but that is very relevant. It's going to make his like comeback plays a lot less powerful. But in a way, it doesn't change anything because in the match, I don't know that Unfair Stamp is prized. So I'm still going to be doing my best to play around it when I can. Some other notes for this match as we get through these opening setup turns. My strategy is going to be revolving mostly around Monkey Dory and Cresselia, healing off all the damage from Phantom Dive. As long as there's any damage counters on my board, right, even 2 damage counters is enough for Anil to use Radiant Alakazam, plop that onto a Kirlia, and then Phantom Dive KO my Kirlias. That's what I'm going to be looking to avoid. Additionally, if there's any damage on Anil's board, he can use his own Monkey Dory to move it onto my Kirlia and Phantom Dive it. Especially when I'm ahead in prizes, if I have damage on my board or his, I'm very vulnerable to him moving some damage counters onto a Kirlia, counter-catchering up the other one, and then killing both of them with Phantom Dive. Combo that with an Unfair Stamp, and he would be able to remove all my draw power and give me 2 cards at some points in the game. I'm going to be looking to prevent him from making that play as often as possible. This is going to mean I want to heal all the damage on my board. And if there's damage on my board, I need to be behind in the prize trade so that he doesn't have access to Counter Catcher. And it potentially might mean I need to not take KOs so I don't open myself up to that Unfair Stamp. Now, from Anil's point of view, he's also got to worry about a similar play, right? If he goes ahead in the prize trade recklessly, he could be very vulnerable to an Unfair Stamp and a Cresselia, just like KOing his Dracloak. Maybe I could combo in a Counter Catcher, right? If that Radiant Alakazam is on the board, it's got a 2 retreat cost. So one of my strongest plays is going to be to like Counter Catcher up Alakazam, maybe throw in that Unfair Stamp, and then Cresselia knock out Dracloaks. Now, another interesting factor of this matchup is Pheasantipede, right? As I'm talking about how Anil's going to be targeting my Kirlias and I'm going to be targeting his Dracloaks, Pheasantipede is a little more awkward to KO. I'm going to be wanting to use Cresselia a lot. That can't kill Fez. He's going to be using Phantom Dive. That also can't kill Fez. So that's going to be a crucial part of both of our strategies as well. Now, taking a look at the game, we've seen a couple turns go by here. Solid setups for both of us. We're kind of both delayed a turn in that Anil only had 1 Dreepy on turn 1, and now he doesn't have a Lance here, so he's just like going to have to Ultra Ball for 1 Dracloak. And on my turn 1, I didn't have TM Evolution, so we're going to see a slower game. Not that that's really irregular for this matchup. I think I played this matchup maybe 3 or 4 times this tournament, and however many I played, all but one of them was just a 1-game series. And then in the second game, you set up, you use Refinement a couple times, use Recon Directive a couple times, and the game just doesn't finish. So I think Anil and I both have a pretty solid understanding here. No prizes have even been taken after 6 minutes. I don't even have a Kirlia, and it's been 6 minutes. So this is going to be a 1-game series for sure. Onto my turn here. Here we go. We get the TM Evolution off. We also prep that Unfair Stamp here, which is pretty significant to let Anil know that I've got that in my hand. He's going to be less likely to attack into that Unfair Stamp if he's not ready for it. For example, a play I see very often here is that Anil just like evolves into Pult, maybe gets down 1 Dracloak, and then like uses Phantom Dive. And then I kind of just get to win the game for free by like Unfair Stamping, killing his only Dracloak, and just really grabbing a hold of the board, limiting his draw power, and then really handcuffing him for the rest of the game. Something else here that's a little bit annoying is that I TM Evo with my Monkey Dory that has the Dark Energy in the active, so if Anil does attack, he gets to KO my only Dark Energy, which is a little annoying. I discarded Dark Energy on turn 1, and I prized the third one, so my Dark Energies are going to be a little bit awkward this game. I only have so many recovery cards, and a lot of the times those recovery cards need to be recovering Cresselia. Anil here now has the Lance, an amazing find for him. It's going to let him really set up a very stable board, get these Dracloaks down. And I think the first really interesting decision point in the game happens here, where the decision is, does Anil attack here or not, right? He's got the Dragapult in his hand, he's got the energies, he's got a couple Dracloaks down, and he ends up opting not to attack here. I think it probably would have been acceptable for him to attack, especially if he could just like bench Fezandipity. I'm not sure if he has like a Nest Ball, but like Nest Ball Fez and like just attack here, I think is okay. But I definitely understand him wanting to play around this unfair stamp. He knows I have it, right? I would put him down to one Dracloak, and that's a pretty precarious situation. So Anil just decides to pass it off, or rather not pass it off, but use Itchy Pollen. Onto my turn, I pretty much have like the God setup here. I think I have actually all of my Psychic energies in the discard pile, and I have Gardevoir EX. So I'm going to be attacking this turn. I think in a lot of situations, I would just be passing it back to Anil here. If I didn't have this many Psychic energies in the discard, I might just like retreat my Monkey Dory into like my other Monkey Dory with no Dark Energy. Don't put down my Gardex and just pass it off. I don't want my Curlias to start dying before I'm ready, but I feel like I have a lot of energies in the discard pile here, and I'm ready to start trading prizes. Now, I am going ahead in the prize trade here, which I really dislike, and so I'm going to be looking to give back that prize lead to Anil at some point. Additionally, these energies being all over my board is a little bit awkward, but in a way it's kind of good. Eventually, I like to be attacking with Gardevoir EX, and when I do so, I need to have no damage on it. So I like that I have one energy on my Gardex, and I'm going to be looking to retreat these energies off of my Curlias later. Now, onto Anil's turn here. I think he has another interesting situation. Of course, his unfair stamp is prized here, but even if he had his unfair stamp here, I don't think this is the turn to use it. Right? For example, he could like bring up one of my Curlias, kill it, unfair stamp, but then I still have another Curlia. So I think if Anil had his unfair stamp, he would actually wait until he can kill all my Curlias at once and unfair stamp in the same turn. So I think at this point, the casters were saying that I clued in that his unfair stamp must be prized because he's not using it here, but I actually still haven't clued in yet. I felt like maybe he could just be holding it. And so I'm going to be looking to continue to play around this unfair stamp as long as possible. We see Neil get the fire energy onto the Dracloak. I think that's smart as opposed to putting the dark energy on the Monkey Dory. And then he makes a really good play here, I think, and just brings up my Gardevoir EX and punches it. Now, the reason why this play is so good is because if Anil were to just like kill my Cresselia or like kill a Curlia, spread damage, I'm going to hit him with the most vicious unfair stamp ever. Right? I'm going to unfair stamp. I'm going to kill his only Dracloak with Cresselia. I'm going to heal off all of the damage he put on my board. I'm probably going to get a second Monkey Dory with a second Dark Energy down. And from there, I'm just going to completely take control of the game. And Anil will just really be floundering for any plays later on. One thing to note here is that this play does get blown out by Turo, right? If I have a Turo here, I Turo my EX. I use Cresselia to kill his only Dracloak, and he's in rough shape. Lucky for him, though, I whiff the Turo, and now the advantage, if you think of like a chess like advantage bar, it definitely swings in his favor here when I whiff the Turo, because now, like I mentioned earlier, my core strategy of trying to have no damage on my board is really just not going to be possible because there's tons of damage on his Gardex. He can use Radiant Alakazam to move that around whenever he wants. And so I felt here that if I were to just Cresselia kill the Dracloak, which I think is kind of like the obvious play here, I leave myself really vulnerable to Alakazam onto my Curlia, Countercatcher up the other Curlia, unfair stamp, and kill both. And then at that point, I would be left with 2 cards and no draw power for the rest of the game. So here you see, I'm really thinking about it. I hate the idea of just like not killing anything here because now I'm giving Anil a bunch of damage for his Monkey Dory, but I decide that I need to be a little more passive. I can't run face first into a 2-card hand and no draw power, so I'm going to have to give back some of the advantage that I've gained from having such a strong start. Onto Anil's turn, he wastes no time getting that Monkey Dory down, and now he's also got an Iono. That's a great Iono for him. It's going to get rid of my my unfair stamp. Whatever else I had, I probably had like a Countercatcher in my hand. I don't really remember, but I do remember that I was pretty sad to see that Iono there. Now here, he's probably looking for a Countercatcher to kill both my Curlias, and I think it's worth noting that even like the difference between an Iono to 5 or 4 here in combination with the Curlia double kill is a little significant. So even though he prized the unfair stamp, I don't hate that I'm at 5. Additionally here, I think it's really obvious for Anil to just like take a 2 prize turn here, you know, kill like Cresselia plus Curlia, and that's going to give me counter catcher, which I kind of liked, the idea of being able to start trapping things and then also just like not really letting him counter catcher for the rest of the game. So he ends up whiffing the second counter catcher here. I'm sure he would have double killed my Curlias if he found it, or maybe taken out like a Monkey Dory and a Curlia. But he's just going to end up developing his board a bit. He's got the double Dray Cloak. He's got plenty of energies. And then we're just going to see the double kill on the Curlias. This Monkey Dory is really nice for him. Finding that dark energy here is really nice because if he were to put down the Alakazam, I would start harassing it with counter catcher, right? Bring it up, you know, Cresselia the bench, rinse, repeat for the rest of the game. So here, I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing. I think I want to go for a Cresselia play here. I'd love to kill the Monkey Dory. I know his deck is not particularly good at recovering it. We didn't really talk about it, but his one Super Rod is actually even prized. But even if the one Super Rod isn't prized, he's never going to be able to find Super Rod, put back the monkey, get the monkey out, find the dark. It's just like when I'm spamming unfair stamp, Ionos, it's just not really going to happen. So I almost consider this Monkey Dory loss owned when I kill it because I just don't really give it credit for ever coming back. Now here my hand is a little awkward. What I really want to do is unfair stamp on this turn. I want to go unfair stamp, Cresselia, kill Monkey Dory, maybe toss in a counter catcher on a Dray Cloak if I can, but I only have one Arven here, so I have to decide between unfair stamping and trying to draw into like a Super Rod or a Night Stretcher, or just going ahead and Arvening straight up for Super Rod. I also really wanted to get Pheasantipity down this turn, but like I said, I only get one item card. I can't get Nest Ball for Fez and Unfair Stamp and Super Rod. And I don't want to risk whiffing here. I think if I were to go like Arven, Nest Ball, Fez, or Unfair Stamp, and then I don't get back to this Cresselia, my turn is just really awkward, and I probably just lose the game. And I felt like I didn't need to be taking a huge risk in this moment, so I just decided to Arven for the Cresselia, keep tempo in the game. I'm going to be playing this one from kind of one turn behind, which is, you know, usually where Gardevoir likes to be. So pretty happy in this position. We're going to be healing off a bunch of damage from our Gardevoir EX, which is very nice here. It's going to be going down to, I think, 70 damage now. So it's out of range of a KO. There's no ideas of like my Gardevoir and my Curlia dying here because of this Monkey and Cresselia. And we're just going to be KOing this Monkey Dory here now. I could have generated some extra damage here if I were to like pile on, I think, one more energy here. I could have used Monkey Dory again, right? So let's say I put one more Psychic Energy onto one of my Monkey Dories. Then I could use Moonglow Reverse for 80 onto the Monkey Dory. And then one of my Monkey Dories could like put 30 more on the Pult here. So I think I kind of missed a little bit of an opportunity on this turn to generate some more free damage onto this Dragapult EX. And we'll talk about how that might be significant later on in the game. Now here, I'm a little less afraid of Unfair Stamp. Unfair Stamp here would actually be pretty brutal. But I think there was one other turn. Actually, no. This turn, I was very afraid of getting Unfair Stamp because last turn, he couldn't Unfair Stamp me because I didn't take a KO. But now this turn, I did take a KO. So here, like Unfair Stamp plus kill my Curlia is pretty backbreaking. And so I was definitely worried about that. I kind of figured that if he Unfair Stamp me here, I just have to sack and like draw my own Unfair Stamp or Pheasantipity to get out of it. And it's kind of funny because like if I'm going to end up in this situation here now where I'm getting wrecked by Unfair Stamp, maybe I should have just not played around with the whole game, right? And just like tried to draw out of it on the earlier turn. But I don't really know. Anyways, here, Anil did prize the Unfair Stamp, and I think now is when I clue in, because I think this is a great opportunity to stamp me. He's killing my only Curlia, and so he gets like a Poffin for nothing, and so I'm like, okay, Unfair Stamp must be prized. One other thing here, I think Anil misses an opportunity. I think Pheasantipity should just like definitely be on the board for him here. It is like a little awkward, because if he benches it, I'll probably just kill it, but by not benching it, he just allows me to like, I don't know, do some cool plays that involve not killing Fez. Like, killing Fez is annoying because I can't really use Cresselia to kill Fez. I have to like use Guard X, and then I have some damage on my board, and then Anil kind of has some stuff to work with. Now here I go ahead, I find Nest Ball here. That's going to get me Fez, and really this turn is where I feel like I take control of the game. I'm going to get my own unfair stamp in. I'm going to get that counter catcher off on the Alakazam, and I'm going to take out something on the bench. Now, what I'm trying to set up for here is some kind of 2-turn win, right? I'm going to like do something this turn, and then next turn I want to like kill this Dragapult EX, kill the Badoo, and win the game. So I just have to find one more prize here. I have a couple options. I could like Cresselia here, but I end up finding this Monkey Dory and my Earthen Vessel. So I'm like, okay, like I can just set up a third monkey. That seems pretty good. And this turn here, I think I make my biggest mistake of the game. I end up deciding with my 3 Monkey Dories here that I don't want to kill anything in order to play around Fez. So I just like put 60 on a Dracloak and 30 on the Pult. Additionally, because I missed that 30 damage earlier in the game on the Pult, I kind of felt like I needed to get like the damage on the Pult because, well, I need 30 more to be able to knock it out with Miracle Force. And I don't really want to have to find Drifloon, right? I might not have it. I might get Ionoed, etc. And so here, I think if I were to just use this 90 damage, kill a Dracloak, go down to 3 prizes, and then on the next turn, I can like kill Badoo, kill Dragapult, and win the game. I think that's a better play. Now, one thing that does kind of play into is if I kill this Dracloak, Anil can then use Fezandipity, right? And then if Fezandipity finds him a Turo, he could Turo up the Badoo, but the thing here is that by countercatchering up this Alakazam, I'm kind of forcing him to like Turo this Alakazam. So basically, by killing the Dracloak, the only way I would have got punished is if Anil has Switch to switch out of the Alakazam, plus Turo to pick up the Badoo, and then I just like don't really have anything to kill. But Anil actually draws very well here. He finds his Switch, and he also finds, I think, let's see, Ultra Ball there, and so that's going to get him the Dragapult. And so I set up this Dracloak to be knocked out on the next turn, right? The idea was, oh, I'm going to Adrenabrain, kill this Dracloak, and then Adrenabrain, kill the Badoo, and then Gardevoir EX, kill the Dragapult. And yippee, I didn't KO anything. He can't Fez. I'm going to draw more cards off Iono, etc. But the problem is he just evolves this Dracloak into Dragapult. And in my hand, I actually have Turo plus Night Stretcher. So if he didn't also have Switch here, I could have used Quadruple Monkey to kill the other Dracloak plus Badoo plus kill Pult with Gardevoir EX, but he also has the Switch. And I think this turn was actually like pretty reasonable to just find like an out to retreat plus a Dragapult. You know, there's tons of Ultra Balls, Crispin, Turo, etc. in the deck, and he had 2 Dracloaks. So now I find myself in a spot where I'm unable to win the game, right? I can't, I'm unable to win the game. I can't take all 4 of my prizes here at once. So I have to go for some kind of Iono to 1 stall play. I go ahead, I countercatcher up the Alakazam, and now I'm just going to Cress his only Dracloak and hope that he doesn't have a way to retreat. Now, if last turn I did kill the Dracloak, I just win the game here, right? I kill the Badoo, I kill the Pult, and I don't give Anil any chance to draw into a way to win the game, but I end up giving him a chance here, and I think it maybe is like a 20% chance here that he draws, he can draw Crispin, he's got Crispin, 2 Turos, maybe a Luminion or 2 in the deck. Can't do Ultra Ball because he's only got 2 cards. He could also draw like Fez into the combo, or like Nest Ball into Fez into the or into Crispin. So he's definitely got a reasonable chance here to win the game. And now I'm just gonna sequence out my last turn here. I pick up the Badoo just so it's a little easier for me to win the game next turn. I Fez. I've got my whole deck in my hand, so I can countercatcher up the Pult next turn and win the game. And then I kill the Dracloak, and I cross my fingers that he doesn't find a way to retreat. And the stream gives me that nice top deck animation as Anil picks up the Crispin, and that's going to let him retreat this Alakazam and win the game. So I think there was that one turn was just the biggest missed opportunity there. I needed to triple monkey, just kill a Dracloak, and then I can actually win the game on the final turn. I think otherwise, both of us played an exceptionally good game, and this is really some high level play. The way that we both navigated, like we're both playing comeback decks, and so we don't want to be ahead, but like you need to be ahead to win at some point. So I think some highlights were, when Anil just swung into my Gardevoir EX for 200. I thought that was a really strong play. I thought the turn where I like Moonglow reverse and didn't kill anything was a strong play. And then it just kind of slipped away from me there at the end. And now, of course, we set up for the second game, and this game's just never finishing. So I think I'll go ahead and end the video here. If you have any questions about the game, about anything I did or Neil did, feel free to leave them in the comment section down below. I've watched this one a few times now, so I can definitely elaborate on anything that I maybe forgot to talk about. So that's going to be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you learned something. Oh, I look so sad there. Oh, it's okay. And I'll see you guys in the next video.